Welcome to the In My Opinion Show with Ronald Barrington Robinson and friends, seen on the internet 24 hours a day. We have a wonderful program in store for our viewing audience today. Our special guests, which are always special guests, and co-hosts. We have Mr. Henry Hatter.
Hi, Ron.
Hi, Henry.
Jackie.
Hi.
Hi, Jackie Williams.
Hello, everyone.
And welcome to all our millions of viewers again worldwide. How do we as a society contain these lone wolves that murder innocent people either by gun violence using automatic rifles to kill? It seems to be recently an epidemic, but it's not recent because this has been going on since the 1700s. If people would look on the internet, all right, and do your history in terms of mass killings, it's not only in the United States, but it's around the world. But all we're getting so far, it seems to be in our national news, is what goes on here in America. There's been mass killings in Canada and Russia and China, a number of different places, okay? But the bottom line is, I think the question is, how can we stop that? The answer to me, as far as I'm concerned, is we can't. We just have to be more visible, okay, and inquisitive. We don't need teachers carrying guns in the classroom, because the classroom is to teach these children, all right? We don't need teachers, strapped down like, Wild West stuff, okay? And they probably some of them will probably be the first ones to run out the classroom, okay? And when I was in school, the only authority figure that any of us was scared of was the principal. And that was enough for me, because I got my butt paddled a couple times. Okay? Should have learned the first time, but I guess I was hard-headed, as they say. But the thing is I think we're going too far when we're talking about arming the teachers. I think that schools need to be a little more involved in terms of, and you can't lock all the school doors either. So you might as well forget about that. Okay, but school monitors, a little more visible, being a little more visible in the school hallways, lunch times, catching the bus, and things of that nature. Jackie, what do you feel about these questions?
Well, because this year alone, I wish I had the exact number, but we've had so many school shootings that our young people have become their own advocates, and they're standing up and they're demanding that we do some changes. But just in the few shootings that we had, if you just go back and just look at the similarities, one of the shootings that just happened, it wasn't that the child was old enough to have a gun, but he just took his parents' gun. So I'm thinking that, we have to do an accountability factor here. So if you are one of the ones that have guns in your house, and don't get scared, I'm not trying to take your guns from you, I'm just asking for you to lock them up. Be a good steward over what you have. Lock them up so your kids are not able to easily access them. And then the other thing I'm thinking of is, social media is so great right now. We have to use it to our benefit. We have to hold Facebook accountable and the other Twitter. We have to hold all of them accountable. So we need security on the lines where they're checking periodically people's posts to make sure that they're not, because they said all of these people that have went on to kill, you look at their posts and they had like questionable postings where they're having, some kind of anger issue, because not the last one, but the one before, he was most likely to be a shooter. That's what they said he was. So he had characteristics. So why didn't they get him some help? So, it's just some things that we can do, or a hotline even, because as your President Trump is saying that we should give guns to the teachers. Well, in the school that they had in Florida that just had the shooting, not the last one, but the one before that, it was a secure person on site with a gun. And he said it's just but you can't do anything against the type of gun that he had. So that's not the answer either. But we need to come to the table and have a conversation, because our kids should not have to go to school and fear not being able to come home, or have to continually bury their friends at a young age, because this is staining. You know what I mean? Mentally, this has to be very uncomfortable and very stressing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it has to be. It has to be, because there's enough things going on in the classroom. Like my daughter, she's in advanced placement and in biology and in trigonometry. I mean, that stuff, those things that she brings home in terms of schoolwork, I don't have the foggiest idea what that stuff is. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not the foggiest. Okay, so there's enough concentration on just doing your schoolwork, not having to worry about that there's going to be some idiot that wants to shoot people. Okay, and these folks are serious. And as far as they want to say it's all mental illness and this, that, whatnot. But I think a lot of it is spurred by social media too. Okay, and the the ability to have AR-15 and like that guy in Las Vegas. Okay, he was a grown man,
Right.
and shot down there and killed 40 people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. This is outrageous. And folks, let me tell you something. The NRA is not going to stop what they're doing. Trump is not going to do anything to stop the purchase of guns, and because he can't.
Right.
Okay, that's our Second Amendment right. To have guns. They might limit as far as how many you might be able to have, but that's something to be determined, later on, and probably then it's not going to be fully implemented. Henry?
I agree with what you both said, and we should have some variation in what we talk about here. But I can't find anything wrong with when you said that teachers should not be armed with guns. Teachers are vowed to teach our children. They're vowed to protect them at any cost, even with their lives. And they're vowed like a mother does. A mother will attack a bear if a bear attacks her child. Most mothers would do that. They would die for that child.
Right.
And teachers, if they have adopted the traditional view of teachers, and that is that they're to protect their children. And studies have shown that parents care more about safety than they care about academics. You've probably all seen those studies.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, I believe that just waiting around already, there's a shooter in the classroom already, and his victim is there. We're just waiting for the time component to happen. It may happen in any school. Any child could be either the shooter or the victim, depending on the circumstance, who has a gun. And what I see is that we are dealing with gun shootings as episodes. We have not taken the time to study. Why do kids kill other kids? This has not always been the pattern.
Right.
They've been since then. But everybody's putting together a little law over here, a little law here, a philosophy there, and a philosophy there. And teachers are running with that. They're putting this stuff into writing, and now it becomes the authoritative way of looking at this. And none of that stuff may be right.
Right.
We have not taken the time. We have not put aside the money. We have not. We have not authorized anybody to go out and conduct this study. Take 5 years, 3 years, or whatever it takes, and do exactly what they did in 1982 with A Nation in Risk, when the Americans take a look at the school system. What was wrong with it? Why were kids not performing well? Why were we dropping in academics? And why did kids seem to lose their passion for school? And why we had so many kids that didn't graduate? That's been going on. That's been developing for a while. We have not done that. So what we're dealing with are episodes, and we are guiding this whole discussion and reaction by just in a piecemeal way. We don't know whether we're going to make the system better because we don't know where we're going. We don't know how to react to it, and we don't know how we'll react if it's an SRO, security officer, goes into a classroom and shoots some kid, the wrong one, and then all hell breaks loose. And not only with that one kid's parents, that one community, but the whole nation. You put it in disarray. You have to get it right the first time.
Right.
And until we have a study, and I went to a revenue sharing conference just last week, less than 10 days ago, and we had to go to the Capitol and talk about two things. We talked about revenue sharing for the school aid budget, and safety, school safety. And after everybody had talked, finally I said something. I said pretty much what I just said. That I think that we have not studied why kids kill each other. We don't know. We're just reacting to episodes. We're flying blindly. And kids may be hurt as a result of not knowing what to do next. We don't know if we had a racial incident, some SRO shot a black child accidentally. Look at the havoc. And we need to spend some money and take
Betsy
some
did
time.
some type of, what did Betsy DeVos, I know she was supposed to have some type of, she was putting together some type of task force, but I don't think to the definition of what you were saying, but she was supposed to put some type of task force together, but her task force was basically putting armed people and getting them credits and all that kind of stuff. That didn't go anywhere. But would that not be her position, that she should, because that's what they asked her when she went to Congress the other day, what are your steps in eliminating all these shootings? What are you doing as, the Secretary of Education to see what we can do about these school shootings to ensure that our children are safe? And I think she didn't have an answer.
No, she wouldn't. This is a cultural thing. We've never seen it before. All of us have freedom of speech. We can choose and pick the things that we choose to believe in. We don't think together. The Bible and all of its texts used to hold us together. But that's all released now. And the right of the individual is paramount. And nobody wants their rights violated. So we can't think together. Somehow we don't have the capacity to bring ideas together in the right interest for people.
I think fear is what's stopping a lot of the conversation, because people get misinformation.
Yeah.
And so what they're thinking is, the first thing they say is, they want to take my guns away.
Yeah.
We don't want to take your guns away, but I will address a gun situation overseas. What is it? London or one of them. They don't allow the type of weapons that we have.
The misinformation is feeding all of this. Mm-hmm. And so this is far more complex than what we think.
But they ban all of those type of weapons, where like the ones that do the rounds. I don't know what you call them, semi-automatic or whatever. They ban all of those, and they haven't had
M15s.
Yep, they haven't had a major killing, a mass killing since they've done.
Yeah.
So we, like you said, gathering the right information, what's working for somebody else. I mean, we need to look at that. What's working for other people? Can their kids go to school without having to do a active shooter drill now? When we were in school, you just had the fire drill.
It used to be that only racial issues kind of separated us. Now you got gender issues. Now you got economic issues. If you don't earn 90% of a base wage, you are now departmentalized and characterized as poor, and kids don't want to be called poor. That's one thing you should not do. If you want to get shot in the foot, call a kid poor, no matter what color he is. And so we have all of these kind of issues to deal with, and we're not prepared to deal with them at least in this decade. There's nothing rising.
Well, it seems like counseling is like one of the major, because like the one fella from Florida, I'm going back to Florida because his mother had just died from cancer. So, a lot of times, I know in the Black community, we think that, counseling is not for us, but it is for us. It is for us. Really. It's to get rid of that dysfunctional stuff that we've been doing for years that haven't been addressed. So counseling is for Black people as well as everybody else, and we need to seek counseling. If your child is acting out and he has anger issues, you need to seek counseling before it escalates out of control. And it's okay, he's not going to be, stereotyped that he has a problem. He is seeking, that means that he's going to be healthy one day, because you're seeking help, and that's healthy. That's healthy.
And you see, and the other thing is that we don't, and I know this is not a popular subject, and I try to limit how much I talk about it. But it used to be that religion, as quiet as kept, restrained us. It used to be that religious, at least for boys and girls, you don't do certain things because it's wrong or right. Because I know I was impacted by that. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that, Ron, you were, and maybe you were too. But we don't have that now. We push aside religion, so we don't have any restraints. We just go out and do what we want to do. And the government, we dare the government to become a big brother, because you're going to step on somebody's toes and somebody's going to get mad. All of that stuff might sound like it's voodoo.
No, it
doesn't. But it did do a lot of good.
It did. And I tell people all the time, if it wasn't broke, why are we fixing it? When we were in school, we respected our teachers. I don't care how big Miss Drake was. She was a small lady. But we respected her, and she wasn't very tall, but you better know we didn't want her upset with us, because we were taught to respect our teachers. And this is a piece that we're missing. We don't have the respect level. We don't have the parent support. We don't have a healthy home life. So we got all these issues that we don't want to deal with. But in order for us to get to the root of the problem, we're going to have to go back and figure out where we went wrong. When the government stepped in and said you can't discipline your children, and then the parents just gave up. They were just like, well, then you take care of them. So now kids can just do whatever they want to do. They're getting expelled in kindergarten now.
Mm-hmm. Now, it's not likely that an author or a person in public service will come out and call to reinstitute religion. That would be a very popular thing. We will completely break down as a society before that happens.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But we were founded on it.
But we're so wildy and unwilling to listen to anything that we can't see, taste,
or
hear,
control.
Or control. Mm-hmm. As far as the gun shooting goes, we'll have to figure out how. We have to do a study, and someone will have to come out and recommend something that's based on years of weighing and sifting evidence.
And I'm wondering the copycat, because the last shooter, I was watching the interview, and the last shooter, he was singing Another One Bites the Dust. So it was like a notch in his belt. You know what I mean? So he was singing and he was laughing as he was gunning them down. So I go back, like you said, the root cause. When did we become so desensitized to human stuff? Well, I'll give you just a quick brief view of what I think. When we made a video game, I know this is not popular with my friends, but it is what it is. What is it? Grand Theft Auto. where in a video game you taught them how to solicit prostitution and to shoot at the police and to take. When you're instilling these things, even in a video games, some people can't disconnect from characters, you know. And so they said they even have a video game now of high school shootings. Did you hear about that?
I think I might have heard it.
Yeah, they have something where they're doing like a video high school shoot. This is what I'm talking about. This is totally unacceptable. But if you don't call it out, silence is agreement. When you don't say anything, you're in agreement with what's going on.
This is my last comment. I hope I make it effectively. But there are people who are concerned about what we're doing in this community and this nation to white boys. Did you see the article?
No.
Yeah. That you're displacing them. Guess who most of the shooters are?
White boys.
So there are people that are concerned, and this is something that I can't say that's bona fide. I'm not an authority on it, but I did hear that we are creating young white men as the enemy. They're no longer valuable. They don't find a reflection in themselves that they once did. They're now looking at things from a different perspective, perhaps the way blacks looked at things. I don't know, but it's something that needs to be studied.
Yeah, because like you said, that's a common denominator. I mean, you know, you go through, you find the common denominator. The common denominator is even in the movie shooting where he dressed up like the Joker, white male. And what did they do? He went inside of there dressed up like the Joker. They thought he was participating in the dress up for the show premiere, and he shoots all these people. So I mean, like I said, the copycat thing where he's singing Another One Bites the Dust and he's just laughing while he's shooting people down and killing them. I just think that we have somewhere lost. You know, did somebody hurt you so bad where you're just numb to hurt, and so you want everybody to feel like you? So these conversations need to happen, not after another shooting, but they need to be happening right now.
Exactly.
And I hope that people don't look at us as talking about this as a racist thing.
No.
We're talking about issues,
Right.
and other people have brought that to bear, and we dare have the courage to mention it here so that other people can share what we know, what we see.
Because it's not when someone dies, it's not a black or white issue. It's a dead issue, and people are hurt regardless of what color you are. So we don't want anybody to have to see their kid off in the morning for school and not see them again because of some foolishness in the school. So we stand for whatever we need to do. Let's do it. I'm like you, Henry. We're not doing anything. We're just like, we're waiting for the next episode. Like you said, we're waiting on the next episode because we're not doing anything to prevent it.
Because we became too insensitive, all right, to these killings, and which is unfortunate. You know, I found that, you know, that why are our kids so mad all the time? You know what I mean? And and sometimes I have to ask my daughter, why are you so mad? I don't know. I don't think they do know. But they're just angry, all right, for no apparent reason.
Right.
And also too, I think school should be funded like it's supposed to be funded.
Right.
All right. Why they keep taking money out of the schools? And with the minute we got left, Henry, why do they keep taking money out of the schools?
The state is broke, and funding is 90%, 95% of the funding comes from state sources, and that comes from the tax dollar or the sales tax, and that makes up the 6% of the budget. I mean, we have in our school budget we have $15 billion. That's what it costs us to educate our kids in Michigan. That's about $8,000 per child, and we have and they're taking money out of the school aid account and transferring it into building roads. the wrong thing to do. But people say, oh, the roads are important. We got to have those. And, you know, we got to change our priorities someplace.
But I thought we just taxed the gas to fix the road.
Not enough.
And also we did the increase to the driver's license. Remember?
Yeah, that's not enough.
Oh my goodness.
We're money deficient. The state took money away from education several cases over the last 20 years, and we never got it back. So it's going to get worse, and what happens is the legislature will take money out of one account to fill the other, only until somebody squabbles.
About what's gone.
And we keep trading.
Who heard this week? Who did they get? Yeah.
What do they call them? Trading seats or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is what's happening, and
That's
it looks as
unfortunate.
though eventually we're going to have to.
Oh, and another thing is, why not pay the educators?
Yeah.
This is, like you were saying, preparing for leadership.
Yeah.
These people have the job of nurturing our children to become doctors, lawyers, nurses, whatever. And you're not going to pay them? And you want to pay them at the bottom of the scale? And they have the most important job?
That's right.
That makes no sense.
They inspire our kids to become what they are.
That makes no sense. They spend the most time with our kids. And some of them are sick.
Yeah.
Maybe if you pay them more, they can get some help.
Yeah. Good point.
And you want to give them a gun.
Not likely to be the smart thing to do.
Right.
Real quickly, Starbucks closed 8,000 stores nationwide for racial bias training. Is this a good thing?
I think it's a start. It's a start because I listened to the CEO I listened to the CEO talk about it, and what he was saying was this is just a start. So they're going to have some more trainings, but it's back to what you were saying. It's just like little by little, but we're doing something. So when he realized there was a problem in his shop, this is what he said: we're going to close down and we're going to do 4 hours of sensitivity training, because some people have not been exposed to opposite race and they don't know how to deal with it.
And you know, the irony is that Starbucks didn't have to close down just to protect the interests of black people, because there are not enough numbers of us to really hurt their business. But what they were afraid of was the American people. The reaction of the American
Because
people.
they were
That's what the
upset.
potential is.
Yeah, they were because we stood together, not divided. We stood together.
Yeah.
Because the lady that was most enraged was the one who was in there, because she was very upset. But they donated the money that they received.
These two black men.
They donated the money as a scholarship, correct? And I thought that was commendable. You know, those kind of things need to be addressed, that we resolved it. This is what they did. You have to show, you know, where stuff have been resolved versus just another case, and another case.
So, you know, it probably wasn't just, that was probably the icing on the cake, those two guys, okay? I'm sure that they've had issues through, you know, in a number of other places, okay, for the CEO to do what he did. All right, which is a start, which is a great thing, and I hope that it happens more often. This has been a very good conversation. Unfortunately, we don't sometimes have time to really delve into this stuff, but until next time, this is Ronald Berry Robinson and Friends saying, until next time, stay focused.